Hello and welcome back to our lessons. In this video, we are going to learn about chatbot sequences and actions. So this is the flow that we are going to build, and we are going to start creating our first elements. So let's try to create a text element here and configure a trigger keyword. We are going to use the sequence as our trigger word. Click OK. All right, so this is our first text element. Hi, first name. Click on the button below to subscribe to our chat sequence. Confirm the changes, and we are going to add a button. And on this button, we are going to add subscribe now as our text, and button type would be next step. And after this, we are going to add a text, and this will be our confirmation message. All right, so this is our confirmation message. Great first name. You are now subscribed to our chat sequence, so confirm the changes. Now, how are we actually going to subscribe the user to our chat sequence? Well, we need an action element for that. So let's create an action element here. Click action, and we can attach action to our confirmation message. And after that, let's configure our action and choose messenger sequence as the option type and click add action. And as you can see here, we haven't created any messenger sequence yet. So there's no messenger sequence for our subscriber to subscribe to. So we need to first build our messenger sequence. So to do that, go to Facebook and Instagram, and then go to chat sequence. And after that, we are going to create a new messenger sequence by clicking this button. And then we are going to configure our sequence here. So example, this is our chat sequence number 1. Then we are going to select the flow that we want to send and the postback ID and what messenger tag. So you might remember the lesson about messenger tag. And if you haven't watched the lessons about messenger tag and what tag to use in this case, then you might want to go back to our lesson where we discussed what is a messenger tag and what are the use cases of a messenger tag. So in this case, let's first build our first message here, or sequence number 1. So actually we haven't created any flow here. So let's build our flow. I'm gonna add a messenger flow here for the first message. So click add messenger flow, and a new window will open, and you would be able to build another messenger flow here. So let's build our flow. Remember that this flow is specifically for our first message on the sequence. So let's name this as my messenger sequence flows. Let's add our first element here. So what I want to show you here is the best practice how to properly build a messenger sequence so that you wouldn't have to create a separate flow for each of your sequence items. So example, you have 20 sequence items. Well, conventionally, you would have to create 20 flows for each of the item. So that is not a good way to manage your flows, and it's hard to manage a chat sequence that way. But on this technique that I'm going to show you, you would be able to build your whole sequence. No matter how many chat sequence items you have, you will only need to build one flow. So we can do this by using a mother dummy flow. So what is a mother dummy flow? So I'm going to show you now. Let's first name our first text element as our mother dummy flow. This flow is just a dummy. It means that this will not get sent to your subscribers. The flows that get sent to your subscribers are the children of this mother dummy flow. So let's name this as the dummy flow 1, and let's add quick replies here. So for the first quick reply, we are going to say this is the first message, and this will become the first message of my flow. Let's name this as the first message of the sequence, and to configure, let's just add first message here as our message for simplicity. I'm gonna show you how to add another message. All you have to do is add another quick reply here. Let's just name this as message number 2 for simplicity, and let's build another chat sequence here, and this will become let's name this as message number 2. And for the message, actually we are just gonna copy paste the message number 2 here. By the way, you can add any messages you want here, but I'm just going to use simple placeholder messages here so that it's easier for us to test how the messenger sequence works. Alright, so I have already added 5 messages here. So this is our message number 1, message number 2, message number 3, and message number 4. and message number 5. Let's just rename the labels for these messages. Message number 4 and message number 3. When doing this strategy, it's very important that you label each of your messages correctly so that it's easy for you to assign these messages later on your chat sequence. So this is just a use case where, example, we need to send 5 messages within the 24-hour window so that we won't violate the messenger policy. And this dummy flow, we are not gonna use this dummy flow for our chat sequence, but the children of the dummy flow which we created using the quick replies are the ones that we are going to use for our chat sequence. So in this way, we won't have to create 5 flows, but instead we created one flow that contain all the messages that are going to be used on our chat sequence. So let's save this flow. Alright, so the flow that we are going to use is now saved. Let's go back to our chat sequence and let's assign the messages. So the way this works is we can actually set the timing. What it means is, example, the subscriber first subscribed to our messenger sequence. Then we can set a delay here. So example, after 5 minutes, since the subscriber have opted into our chat sequence, then this message will be sent. We are going to assign the flow. So remember that the flow that we have created is my messenger sequence flow. And this flow contains all the messages that we are going to use for this chat sequence. So for the first message, we're going to use first message. Remember that the dummy flow or the mother dummy flow is just a dummy. We are not going to use this for our chat sequence. It just serves as a holder of the messages that are going to be used for this chat sequence. So let's use the first message here. And for the messenger tag, we are not going to use messenger tag because we are going to send all of these 5 messages within the 24-hour window since the subscriber have engaged with our chatbot. Let's add another message here. And since we used 5-minute delay here, we can just say that after maybe 1 hour, we're going to send our follow-up message. So set the timing here for an hour and the value to be 1. If you set the value to be 2, it means that the delay would now become 2 hours instead of 1 hour. So if you set the timing here to be a minute, it means that after 1 minute since the first message is sent, then our second chat sequence item would be sent. Okay, in this case, we're going to choose the flow and what postback ID, it would become message number 2. So as you can see here, the first message is the message number 1, 5 minutes right after the subscriber have opted into our chat sequence. And once this first message is sent, after maybe another 1 hour, after 1 hour, we are going to send our chat sequence number 2, chat item number 2, which is message number 2. And let's say after another 2 hours, after 2 hours, we are going to send the chat sequence number 3, the chat item number 3, which is assigned to message number 3. And after, let's say 5 hours, we're going to send another message here. So let's choose hour and choose the messenger flow. And let's assign message number 4 here. And let's say after another 5 hours, we are going to send another flow again. And this time, the last message. So this is message number 5. So remember that we are not going to use the mother dummy flow. It will always be the children that are going to be used on this chat sequence. So notice that we only created one flow and all of the messages that are needed for our chat sequence are all there. So the first message is sent after 5 minutes. Then 1 hour after message number 1 is sent, then we will send message number 2. And after 2 hours, we're going to send message number 3. And after 5 hours, we're going to send message number 4. And after 5 hours, we're going to send message number 5. So in total, the span of this whole messenger sequence is about 5 hours plus 5 hours, that's 10 hours, plus 2 hours, that's 12 hours, plus 1 hour, that's 13. So 13 hours and 5 minutes. Since this is within the 24-hour window, then we can send promotional messages to our subscriber. And 12 hours, we can simply add another message here if you want, another message here if you want. Just make sure that the total hours consumed by your chat sequence is below 24 hours, okay? Because after 24 hours, you would need to use a messenger tag here, and we don't recommend that you use these messenger tags if your message is not one of the allowed cases for these messenger tags. Remember that when using any of these messenger tags, you cannot send a promotional content. Always send a message that is in accordance to the use case of these tags. So that's why we always recommend that you don't use a tag and only send your chat sequence within the 24-hour window span so that you will not violate the 24-hour policy of Messenger. Alright, so I guess this is good. We can now just remove the excess messages that we added here for example purposes. And now we are back to the 5 messages that we have built. We can now click go to next step. By the way, guys, this chat sequence map is draggable. Example, you want your message number 5 to be the first message, you can drag and drop your message here. You can rearrange them if you want, but in this case I don't want to rearrange them because my arrangement is already good. So now we can go to the next step. For the next step, we are just going to name our chat sequence. Let's name this as follow-up sequence. There is also an advanced settings here, but this is optional. Using the advanced settings, you can subscribe your messenger subscriber to your chat sequence using any of the rules here. Example, by adding a tag to a messenger subscriber, you can opt in that specific subscriber to this messenger sequence. But this is optional. We are not going to do that on this lesson. We are just simply going to save this chat sequence because we are going to be using the action element on our flow to opt in or to subscribe our messenger subscriber to our messenger sequence. So click save chat sequence, and after that, let's go back to our chatbot flow builder. All right, we are now back to the chatbot flow that we were working on. So let's configure again the action. So add action here and then choose messenger sequence and then click add action. And as you can see here, we now have a value, the follow-up sequence. This is the messenger sequence that we created earlier. So let's confirm the changes. So what this flow does is we are going to ask the subscriber to click this button, and if the subscriber clicks this button, then that subscriber will be added to our sequence, the follow-up sequence. And then that subscriber will receive our confirmation message. You are now subscribed to our chat sequence.